Hello, this is my run on Lofty Souls Lufenia Plus, and specifically, this run will be a no synergy, no BT Plus, and no Cid Raines run. That's right, there's no Cid Raines in the party or as a friend support, and this will be a run done in 48 turns. A little bit about the setup and the strategy coming into this, and make no mistake, it's a fairly complicated strategy. I spent about 6 hours adjusting the runs as I go along, and there were quite a few failed runs at the last 1 to 5% of boss HP. The idea behind here is to deal as much damage to the boss as possible in between its full recast bar and delete as many turns as possible when the boss's turns are not enframed. So coming to the fight, at the start the boss is shielded and will use Tempest recast attack, and that recast attack will remove the shields. So with my party here, I did give Tifa a Warrior of Light call, and I used the Warrior of Light LD call to survive the recast at the start, and that also removes the boss's frame turns and the HP damage shield. Right after the recast attack, I used Kurasame Silver Call to land his Hyoro debuff, but I hold off on using the LD call because I want to save the Ice Enchant to the party for when the Zidane friend support is out. Now after the recast attack, the boss recast bar resets to 0, and the boss will get a full recast bar by the time it takes its third turn. And this is very important to consider because when the boss gets a full recast bar, he will get his HP damage shields again and will make damaging him extremely difficult. Especially also that once the Lufenia orb is out, you can't deal HP damage while the shield is up, which means that you will not be able to uptick the Lufenia orb. So what you want to do is to not let the boss get a full recast bar from here on, which means that you have 2 boss turns leeway to deal as much damage as you can. So the idea is not to let the boss get its third turn after it uses its recast bar, because once it gets its third turn, he will get a full recast bar even if he is disabled. So now the boss has taken 2 turns, and all I'm doing here is to cycle through my attacks, prioritizing Tifa's EX as much as possible because her EX helps to delay the boss by 1 turn, and this helps to allow me more turns getting damage in before the boss gets his third turn. Before the boss gets his third turn, I'm keeping a very close eye on the turn bar because my plan is to swap Tifa out for the support Zidane on Tifa's final turn before the boss. The idea is that Zidane will then be able to come in and delete the boss's turns, thereby preventing the boss from getting a full recast bar. To make things slightly more complicated, I also want to have Kurasame's LD call enchant before Zidane comes into play, so that when Zidane comes in, he will be able to capitalize on the ice weakness damage. So this also means that on Yuna's final turn, before Tifa's final turn, you want to bring in Kurasame's LD call to enchant the party with ice, mainly to prepare for Zidane coming into the field. So right here is Yuna's final turn before the boss, and if you look at the turn bar, Tifa will have 1 final turn before the boss as well. So here I use Yuna's AA to buff the party a little bit, and then I will also be using Kurasame's LD call to enchant the party with ice. I took a while thinking here because another approach is to actually save the LD call for later in the fight, but I decided to just use it here to maximize the damage potential for when Zidane enters into the field. This is also very important. Before bringing in Zidane, you want to use Setzer's Freeze Joker, and this Freeze Joker needs to be up before the boss hits 69% health. You also don't want to put the Freeze Joker in too early because the boss will get 2 turns and you don't want the Freeze Joker to tick down very quickly. So the best time to have Freeze Joker is after the boss has taken 2 turns, but before Zidane has entered into the battle. So the boss is about to get his turn, and that's where I swap Tifa out for the support Zidane. I use Zidane's LD once to delete the boss's turn, and then I go straight into his BT attack to get his BT aura. Right after that, to capitalize on Zidane's BT aura, I go straight into BT mode with Yuna. The idea here is that at least while Zidane's BT aura is in play, I get to maximize the damage. And this also capitalizes on the Kurasame LD call that provides Yuna herself with Ice Enchant as well. So at least I get a little bit more oomph out of her BT move. I actually use her cheer on her final turn, mainly to battery herself, because her BT attack is dependent on the amount of brave she currently has, and using cheer before leads to massive BT finisher attack, as you can see here. Here, because I now have 2 BT auras in field and I still have Kurasame Ice Enchant on the party, I use Yuna's LD and I also use Porom's LD as well. Mainly of course to refresh their LD buffs, but this is the best time to do it because their LDs will deal more damage with all these stacking auras in play. Okay, so Tifa is back here, and here I'm sort of preparing for the 49%. Now the boss hasn't gotten a turn, but unfortunately at 49% the boss will automatically refill its recast meter and will enframe its turns. This is why you want to bring the Friend Zidane in early on so that you can delete all the turns before the boss hits 49%. Now at this point, although the boss has enframed its turn, luckily the boss's turn is very far away, so you have a lot of leeway here. From here on, my goal is to hit 19% HP before the boss gets another turn, or before the boss can use his recast attack. The reason being that once it uses its recast attack, it will cleanse the freeze joker, and if there's no freeze joker in play, the boss will get a massive brave gain at 19%. So the strategy that I took here is to bring the boss all the way down to 19% while Setzer's freeze joker is in play. Now the challenge also of course is the HP damage shield that the boss gets, and to explain what I did to remove the shield, and this is quite risky, you have to keep a very close eye on the orb, is at 49% Tifa had a full EX meter. So what I did is to use her EX to launch the boss and deal HP damage that way. The HP damage done during launch bypasses the HP damage resistance the boss has and will really chew through the HP shields very quickly. The drawback though is that after that, you need to quickly get another EX ready on Tifa so that you can uptick the orb, because the first EX that she does will deal no HP damage due to the shields and will not uptick the orb. A little bit about Porom at the 49% HP phase. Once the boss gets a full meter, Porom's priority has also changed. Here, every time Porom gets a turn, I will be using Cry Plus. No matter what, even if her EX is ready, I will still be using Cry Plus. and I will be spamming Cry Plus with Porom until I land a Confuse. Now this may sound a little bit RNG, and it is, but due to the fact that Porom gets many turns before the boss, it is at least somewhat likely that one of our Cry Plus will be able to confuse the boss. If not, then you will need to pop your summon right before the boss gets a turn, which is really coming up here, as you can see. So I was very unlucky. I couldn't land a Cry Plus Confuse before the boss gets a turn, so I'm forced to pop my summon here. Luckily here is where I land a Confuse. The idea is that if the boss is confused when he gets a turn, it will not use his recast attack, which means that all the debuffs will still remain on the boss, and this is really key, again due to the need of the Freeze Joker debuff from Setzer call. During summon is also the time where you want to quickly uptick the orb to as close to 15 as possible, because at the last parts of the fight it's going to be extremely difficult to maintain the orb, so you want to exit summon with the orb having as high count as possible. Inside summon is also the time when you want to use your most damaging LD attacks, so if for example Porom has landed Confuse on the boss, you want to use her EX or LD, and you also want to use Tifa and Yuna's LD during summon because they will do slightly more damage as compared to outside summon. So I finally hit 19% and thereby made full use of Setzer's Freeze Joker and prevented the massive Brave gain here. At this point it is somewhat okay to let the boss get a turn, but the longer you hold this off the better, because the other important debuff that you want to remain is the Hyoro debuff from Kurasame call, which provides the 30% HP damage up. So here I'm just banking on the Confuse from Porom and dealing as much damage as possible with the team. Okay, so the boss has gotten its next turn but was disabled due to Confuse, so I have a little bit more buffer room in to land damage while Hyoro debuff is up. Because the boss is pretty low here, you don't need to have another Confuse land. Of course, if you do get lucky and get more Confuses in, it's better because you get to make more use of the Hyoro debuff. But really at this point the key challenge is really only to keep the orb maintained as much as possible. Now right here is a bit dangerous. I need to launch the boss to uptick the orb because it's only at 5 count, but my Yuna doesn't have enough Brave to deal the necessary damage. So I use the Warrior of Light Silver Call here to battery the party a little bit, and I'm really hoping that this is enough to uptick the orb by 8. Luckily, both Porom and Yuna will battery the party when they do their HP attacks in the air, and that helps a lot as well. Once Confuse is out, you want to go back to prioritizing Cry Plus with Porom, and luckily here I got another Confuse proc, which is really very good. But really even without it, when the boss had 7% life, you can still manage even if it cleanses all its debuffs, but it will be a much tighter run. Even if it got its recast attack up, you will be fairly protected here because of the Warrior of Light Silver Call. Everyone is brave shielded, so the recast attack actually wouldn't really hurt a lot. Here I'm somewhat thinking of what to do. The boss is down to 5%, but the orb is only at 7 count. I could try to launch one more time with Tifa to uptick the orb, but I decided to just go all out to see whether I could kill it here before it got its next turn. So on this turn, the boss is at 3% HP and it's on Tifa's turn, so I decided to just Battle Cry spam into Beat Rush Plus. If the boss has cleansed all its debuffs and this is not enough damage, what you can also do here is just Battle Cry spam until her EX is ready, like here, and then use her EX to launch the boss one more time to get a few more additional turns in. Not forgetting that after the boss has used his recast, the EX will actually help to delay the boss as well. And that's it. I hope this video has been helpful and enjoyable. As always, if you like the content, do leave a like, comment or subscribe. It really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next Lufenia fight. Bye!